The morning sun shone through the windows of Hyunwoo's fitness center in Seoul. He watched his students stretch and prepare for their workout. Jimin adjusted her gymnastics grips on the parallel bars. Tae-sung lifted weights in the corner, sweat already forming on his forehead. So-young practiced her dance moves, her feet moving gracefully across the wooden floor. "All right, everyone, let's start with warm-ups," Hyunwoo called out. He had been running this gym for 5 years now. Every morning brought the same routine. People came to get stronger, faster, better. It was a simple life, and he liked it that way. The ground began to shake. At first, Hyunwoo thought it was construction work from the building next door. But the shaking got stronger. The weights rattled on their racks. The mirrors on the walls vibrated. "Everyone stay calm," Hyunwoo said, but his voice showed concern. This was not normal. Through the large windows, they saw shadows moving across the sky. Dark shapes blocked out the sun. People on the street stopped walking and pointed upward. Cars stopped in the middle of the road. "What is that?" So-young whispered, pressing her face against the window. Above them, massive ships hung in the air. They were bigger than any building Hyunwoo had ever seen. The ships had a dark metal surface that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols glowed, along their sides in blue and red colors. The ships appeared all over Seoul, all over South Korea, all over the world. Hyunwoo's phone buzzed with emergency alerts. The news apps showed the same scene everywhere. Alien ships over every major city on Earth. The messages were all the same. "Stay indoors. Wait for instructions. Do not panic." But people were panicking. Through the windows, they could see crowds running in the streets. Some people stood frozen, staring up at the ships. Others took photos with their phones as if this was just another tourist attraction. A loud sound filled the air. It was not like any sound they had heard before. Deep and powerful, like a giant bell mixed with thunder. The sound came from the ships. Then the voice came. It spoke in perfect Korean, but somehow everyone in the gym knew it was not human. "Citizens of Earth," the voice said, "we are the Vorthak Empire. We have been watching your world for many cycles. We come with an opportunity." Hyunwoo gathered his students closer together. Jimin grabbed his arm tightly. Tae-sung stood protectively near the group. Even though he was strong, his hands were shaking. "Your species shows promise," the voice continued. "We have observed your physical activities, your competitions, your constant drive to improve your bodies. This interests us greatly." The gym's television turned on by itself. On the screen appeared a figure that was clearly not human. It stood over 2 meters tall with gray skin and muscles that looked like they were carved from stone. Its eyes were completely black, and it wore a uniform covered in those same glowing symbols. "I am Captain Veltar of the Vorthak First Fleet," the figure said. "We are a warrior race. For thousands of years we have conquered worlds and brought their people into our empire. But you humans are different." Minho, who had been studying medicine at the nearby university, stepped forward. "Different how?" he asked, though he was not sure the alien could hear him. As if answering his question, Captain Veltar continued. "Most species we encounter are weak. They accept defeat easily. They do not push their bodies to improve. But humans, you compete against each other constantly. You create games and sports. You build places like the one you are in now just to make your bodies stronger. This is unusual." Hyunwoo looked around his gym with new eyes. The weight machines, the exercise bikes, the martial arts mats, things he saw every day suddenly seemed important in a way he had never imagined. "We offer you a choice," Captain Veltar said. "We will establish training facilities on your world. All humans will participate in our fitness program. It will last 1 full year. Those who complete the program successfully will become citizens of the Vorthak Empire. They will have access to our technology, our knowledge, our protection. And those who fail, Yujin asked quietly. She was a rock climber who came to the gym to train her grip strength. The alien's expression did not change, but somehow his words felt colder. Those who fail will serve those who succeed. This is the way of the empire. The strong lead, the weak follow. The screen showed images of other worlds. Aliens of different shapes and sizes worked in what looked like factories and farms. They did not look happy. You have no choice in participation, Captain Veltar continued. But you do have a choice in outcome. We begin tomorrow. Facilities like this one will be converted to training centers. Local instructors will work with our trainers to prepare humans for the tests. The captain's black eyes seemed to look directly at Hyunwoo through the screen. Instructor Hyunwoo of Seoul Fitness Center. You have been selected as a liaison for your region. Report to your facility at dawn. The screen went black. The ships remained in the sky, but the voice was gone. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The weight of what they had just heard settled over them like a heavy blanket. Their world had just changed forever. How did they know your name? Jimin whispered. Hyunwoo shook his head. They said they've been watching us. I guess they know more than we thought. Taesung picked up a dumbbell and set it down again. 1 year, he said. We have 1 year to get strong enough to stay free. We're already strong, So Young said, but her voice was uncertain. Are we strong enough for them, though? Minho asked. Did you see the size of that captain? And if they can travel between stars, what kind of training are they going to put us through? Hyunwoo walked to the window and looked up at the ships. People were still running in the streets, but some had stopped to form small groups. They were talking, planning, trying to figure out what to do next. I don't know what's coming, Hyunwoo said to his students. But I know one thing. We've been training our whole lives. Maybe not for this, but we know how to push our bodies. We know how to work hard. We know how to not give up. He turned back to face them. If they think humans are special because we try to get stronger, then let's show them just how special we can be. Dong Hyun, who taught martial arts classes in the evenings, nodded slowly. We meet here tomorrow morning. All of us. Whatever they're going to teach us, we learn it together. Together, the others agreed. Outside, the alien ships hummed quietly in the sky. The world below them would never be the same. But in a small gym in Seoul, a group of humans was already planning to face whatever came next. They did not know that this moment would change not just their lives, but the entire galaxy. They only knew that they would not give up without a fight. The age of alien training was about to begin. Dawn came too quickly. Hyunwoo stood outside his gym, watching as strange vehicles landed in the parking lot. They looked like metal boxes with no wheels, floating just above the ground. The doors opened with a hiss, and alien figures stepped out. The first alien was Captain Veltar, who looked even bigger in person than he had on the screen. Behind him came another alien, shorter but much wider, with arms that looked like tree trunks. I am Kraloth, the second alien announced. I will be your head trainer. Captain Veltar will observe and evaluate progress. More humans arrived as the morning went on. Jimin came with her gymnastics bag. Taesung brought his work gloves, thinking they might help with whatever training was coming. So Young wore her best workout clothes. Minho carried a notebook, ready to take notes on everything. By noon, over 100 humans had gathered at the gym. People came from all over Seoul. Office workers, students, professional athletes, elderly people who just wanted to stay free. This is good, Kraloth said, looking at the crowd. We begin with basic assessments. The alien trainer led them to equipment that had been installed overnight. The machines looked nothing like normal gym equipment. They were made of the same dark metal as the ships, with glowing symbols and controls that hurt to look at directly. First test, Kraloth announced. Strength measurement. The alien demonstrated on a machine that looked like a weight bench, but with no visible weights. He lay down, gripped the handles, and pressed upward. Numbers appeared in the air above. The machine, glowing red. The final number was 247. "This is standard for young Vorthak children," Kreloth said. "Adults typically score above 4,000. Your goal is 1/500. Taesung volunteered to go first. He was the strongest human in the group, able to bench press over 150 kilograms in normal weights. He lay down on the alien machine and gripped the handles. The moment he tried to press, his face turned red with effort, his muscles strained, veins standing out on his arms and neck. The numbers flickered and finally showed 247. "Inadequate," Kreloth said without emotion. "Next." One by one, the humans tried. Jimin, despite her athletic training, scored only 156. So Young managed 134. Minho, who was not particularly strong, scored 98. The highest score came from a professional weightlifter who had joined the group. He reached 312. "All inadequate," Kreloth said when everyone had tried. "Perhaps we made an error in selecting your species." Captain Veltar watched silently from the corner, making notes on a device that looked like liquid metal in his hands. "Second test," Kreloth continued. "Speed and agility." The gym floor had been covered with a course of glowing obstacles. The aliens had set it up during the night. Pillars that moved randomly, platforms that appeared and disappeared, and barriers that changed height without warning. Kreloth ran through the course, as a demonstration. He moved so fast he was almost a blur, dodging obstacles that seemed to predict where he was going. He completed the course in 23 seconds. "Minimum acceptable time is 45 seconds, he announced. Yujin tried first. As a rock climber, she was good at moving quickly over difficult terrain. But the alien obstacles moved in ways that made no sense. Platforms disappeared just as she stepped on them. Barriers rose up too fast for her to react. She finally completed the course in 3 minutes and 17 seconds. "Inadequate," Kreloth said. The results got worse from there. Most humans could not even finish the course. Those who did took over 5 minutes. One elderly man got lost halfway through and had to be rescued when the moving obstacles trapped him in a corner. But Hyun-woo noticed something the aliens seemed to miss. When Yujin tried the course a second time, she did better. She remembered where some obstacles appeared and prepared for them. When Jimin went through, she used her gymnastics training to move in ways the course did not expect, rolling under barriers instead of jumping over them. "Third test," Kreloth announced. "Mental endurance." This test involved sitting in chairs that looked comfortable but felt wrong somehow. The moment a human sat down, their head filled with loud, confusing sounds and flashing lights. The goal was to stay seated for 1 hour while solving math problems that appeared in the air. Kreloth demonstrated, sitting calmly while the chair subjected him to what looked like torture. He solved complex equations as if he was sitting in a quiet library. The humans lasted much shorter times. Most gave up within 10 minutes, stumbling away from the chairs with headaches and nausea. Subin, a psychology professor who had joined the group, lasted the longest at 27 minutes, but even she could not reach the 1-hour goal. "All inadequate," Kreloth said at the end of the day. "Your species shows promise in spirit, but your bodies and minds are weak. Perhaps you should prepare for service roles." Captain Veltar finally spoke. "Give them time, Trainer Kreloth. All species need adjustment period." "Other species we have trained showed better results on day 1, Kreloth replied. "The Zephyrians scored above minimum on strength tests. The crystalline achieved acceptable speed scores." "And where are those species now?" Captain Veltar asked quietly. Kreloth was silent for a moment. "They serve in the Empire's support roles. They were adequate, but not exceptional." "Exactly," the captain said. "Continue the training. I am curious to see how these humans develop." After the aliens left, the humans remained in the gym. Many sat on the floor, exhausted and discouraged. Some were already talking about giving up. "This is impossible," one man said. "They want us to be as strong as them in 1 year? Look at the size of their muscles." "The speed course is designed for their bodies, not ours," Yujin added. "They have longer legs, better reflexes." But Hyun-woo was thinking about what he had observed during the day. "Did anyone else notice that we got better on the second tries?" he asked. Ji-min looked up. "I did better on the agility course the second time. And I solved more math problems when I tried the mental test again," Subin said. Minho opened his notebook where he had been writing all day. "I've been tracking everyone's scores. Almost everyone improved on retests, even after just one previous attempt." "So?" Tae-sung asked. "We're still nowhere near their minimum scores." "So maybe we're approaching this wrong," Hyun-woo said. "They're testing us like we're small versions of them. But we're not. We're humans." So-young stood up slowly. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe we need to find the human way to pass these tests," Hyun-woo said. "They said we were different from other species they've conquered. Maybe that difference is exactly what we need to use." Dong-hyun, who had been quiet all day, finally spoke. "In martial arts, we learn that you don't fight force with force if you're smaller. You use technique. You use timing. You use your opponent's strength against them." "These aren't fights," Minho pointed out. "Aren't they?" Dong-hyun asked. "Every test is a challenge. Every challenge can be approached like a fight. And in fighting, the bigger opponent doesn't always win." Hyun-woo looked around at the group. They were tired, discouraged, and facing what seemed like impossible odds. But they were still here. They had not given up. "Tomorrow they'll test us again," he said. "Tonight we figure out how humans pass alien tests." The group stayed late into the evening talking and planning. None of them knew if their ideas would work, but they knew one thing for certain. They would not accept failure without trying everything they could think of. Outside, the alien ships continued their silent watch over the city. Inside the gym, humans began to discover what made them special. 2 weeks passed with the same results. Every day, humans tried the alien tests. Every day, they failed to meet the minimum scores. Kreloth grew more impatient, and some humans began to give up hope. But something else was happening after the official training ended each day. Hyun-woo started staying late in the gym long after the aliens left. At first, it was just him and a few others, but soon more people joined the evening sessions. They called it extra practice, but it was really something much more important. "Look at this," Minho said on a Tuesday evening. He had spent the day studying the alien strength machine. "The machine doesn't just measure how much weight you can lift. It measures force applied over time, combined with energy efficiency." He showed his notes to the group gathered around him. When Kreloth demonstrated, he didn't just push hard. He pushed in a specific rhythm, with perfect timing. The machine rewards technique, not just raw strength. Yu-jin sat up straighter. "That makes sense. In rock climbing, it's not about being the strongest. It's about using your strength efficiently, finding the right grip, the right angle." "Can we learn the right technique?" So-young asked. "I think so," Minho said. "I've been watching the machine's display patterns. There's a rhythm to how the numbers change. If we can match that rhythm." They tried it immediately. Minho guided Tae-sung through a new approach to the strength test. Instead of pushing as hard as possible, Tae-sung followed Minho's timing instructions. Push for 3 seconds, rest for 1, push again with increasing force. His score jumped from 247 to 389. "It's still not enough to pass," Tae-sung said, "but it's progress." "More than progress," Hyun-woo said excitedly. "It's proof that we can find ways to work with their machines instead of fighting against them." Word spread quietly through their group. More people started coming to the evening sessions. They began calling themselves the Night Trainers, people who refused to accept that the alien standards were impossible. HFY joined them in the 3rd week. She was a former Special Forces soldier who had been struggling with the official tests like everyone else. But she brought military experience that changed how they approached the challenges. "These tests aren't random," she told the group. "There's a pattern to how the aliens design everything. They think like soldiers. Everything has a purpose, a weakness, and a counter-strategy." She studied the agility course with tactical eyes. "Look at how the obstacles move. They're not trying to be unpredictable. They're following military movement patterns. If you know how soldiers think, you can predict where the obstacles will be." Working together, HFY and Jin developed a new approach to the speed course. Instead of reacting to obstacles, they learned to predict them. Jin's climbing experience helped her find efficient movement paths, while HFY's military training helped her read the patterns. When they combined their knowledge, Jin's time dropped to 1 minute and 43 seconds, still not passing, but much closer. The mental endurance test proved to be the biggest challenge, but also led to their biggest breakthrough. Subin, the psychology professor, had been studying why the test was so difficult for humans. "It's not just about concentration," she explained to the night training group. "The alien chair is designed to overwhelm a single mind. But what if we don't use single minds?" "What do you mean?" Dong-hyun asked. "I mean teamwork," Subin said. "Humans are social creatures. We work better together than alone. What if we find a way to support each other during the test?" They couldn't physically help someone sitting in the mental test chair, but they discovered they could help in other ways. While one person took the test, others would whisper encouragement, share breathing techniques, and even help solve math problems by calling out partial answers. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. With team support, several humans began lasting longer in the mental chairs. Subin herself reached 47 minutes with her friends coaching her through the worst parts. The aliens test individuals, Hyun-woo realized, but humans are strongest as groups. This insight led to their most important discovery. Yoon-ji was a surgeon who joined the night training sessions because her precise hands made her good at some of the alien dexterity tests. But she brought something else: knowledge of human anatomy and physiology. "We're trying to match alien performance using human bodies," she said during one late-night session. "But our bodies work differently. Instead of fighting our limitations, what if we use our advantages?" Working with Minho's technical knowledge, Yoonji began developing training methods designed specifically for human physiology. Where aliens relied on raw muscle power, humans could use leverage and precision. Where aliens used speed, humans could use endurance and pattern recognition. "Aliens seem to excel at short bursts of intense effort," Yoonji explained. "But humans are built for sustained performance. We're marathon runners in a world of sprinters." The night training group began developing entirely new approaches to each test. They created warm-up routines that prepared human muscles for alien machines. They developed breathing techniques that helped with the mental tests. They even found ways to modify their grip and stance that made the alien equipment work better for human proportions. Most importantly, they learned to work as a team in ways the aliens never expected. When Jin struggled with a section of the agility course, Tae-sung and Jimin coached her through it, sharing techniques they had discovered. When Minho felt overwhelmed during mental tests, the others created a calm environment that helped him focus. "We're not just getting better individually," Hyun-woo observed. "We're getting better as a group." But they had to be careful. Kreloth was suspicious of any human improvement, and Captain Veltar watched everything with those unreadable black eyes. "We can't let them know what we're doing," HFY warned. "If they think we're cheating or going against their methods, they might change the rules." So the night training sessions remained secret. During the day, they followed Kreloth's instructions and accepted his criticism. At night, they developed the techniques that were actually helping them improve. One Shik, an engineer who joined the group, created detailed charts tracking everyone's progress. The results were encouraging. Strength scores were climbing slowly but steadily. Speed times were dropping. Mental endurance was improving for almost everyone. "We're still not at their minimum standards," Wan Shik admitted. But we're moving in the right direction. And more importantly, we're moving faster than when we first started. Ha Young, a teacher who had initially struggled with confidence, found that helping others learn the new techniques made her better at them herself. Teaching forces you to understand something completely, she told the group. When I explain the timing technique to someone else, I understand it better myself. The night training sessions grew larger. People who had been ready to give up during the day found hope in the evening group. They shared food, stories, and encouragement along with training techniques. This feels different from the daytime training, So Young said one evening. During the day, we're all competing against impossible standards. At night, we're all working together toward the same goal. Maybe that's what makes us human, Hyunwoo said. We don't just get stronger individually. We make each other stronger. 3 months into the training program, the night training group had developed a completely different approach to the alien tests. They had techniques the official trainers had never seen, support systems that helped humans perform beyond their individual limits, and most importantly, they had hope. But they were about to face their biggest test yet. Captain Veltar had noticed that some humans were improving faster than others, and he was beginning to ask questions. The secret training sessions had created something the aliens never expected. Humans who were not just trying to meet alien standards, but developing their own methods for excellence. The question now was whether those methods would be enough when the aliens discovered what they were really doing. 3 months into the program, something remarkable happened during the official testing day. Yujin completed the agility course in 52 seconds, still above the minimum, but close enough that Kreloth stopped and stared at the display. "How did you improve so dramatically?" he asked. Yujin glanced nervously at the other night training members. "I've been practicing more," she said carefully. "Show me what you practiced," Kreloth demanded. Yujin ran the course again, this time using the techniques she had learned in the secret sessions. She moved differently than before, predicting obstacles instead of reacting to them, using human flexibility to navigate spaces in ways the aliens hadn't expected. Her time was 48 seconds. She had passed. Kreloth was silent for a long moment. "Your technique is unusual," he finally said. "This is not how we taught you to move." "Maybe humans need to move differently than Vorthok," Yujin said quietly. Captain Veltar stepped forward. "Explain." The gym fell silent. Everyone knew this was a dangerous moment. If the aliens thought the humans were disobeying instructions, the consequences could be severe. But Yujin had spent too many late nights training to give up now. "Humans have different bodies than Vorthok," she said. "Different strengths. What works for you might not work for us. So we adapted." "Show me more of these adaptations," Captain Veltar said. Over the next hour, the night training group demonstrated their techniques. Minho showed his timing method for the strength machine. Subin explained how mental support helped with endurance. Tests. Jaehua demonstrated her military-based approach to the agility course. With each demonstration, more humans passed tests they had failed for months. Kreloth grew increasingly agitated. "This is not proper training," he said. "These humans are using unauthorized methods." But Captain Veltar was fascinated. "Show me your fastest speed course time," he told Yujin, with the full support of her training partners, Tae-sung calling out obstacle warnings, Ji-min suggesting movement techniques, others providing encouragement. Yujin ran the course in 39 seconds. She had not just passed. She had exceeded the minimum standard. "Impossible," Kreloth said. "No human has achieved that score." "This human just did," Captain Veltar observed. "And she did it using methods we did not teach. Methods her species developed themselves." The captain walked among the humans, studying them with new interest. "You have been training together in ways we did not instruct." Hyunwoo stepped forward. As the designated liaison, he knew this moment had always been coming. "Yes, sir. We have." Evening training sessions where we work together to understand your tests better. Unauthorized training is forbidden, Kreloth snapped. Is it? Captain Veltar asked. I do not recall that specific prohibition. We told them to prepare for the tests. We did not specify how. The captain's black eyes fixed on Hyun-woo. Explain your methods. For the next 2 hours, the night training group explained everything they had discovered. They showed their anatomical studies, their technique modifications, their team support systems. They demonstrated how human teamwork could help individuals achieve results that seemed impossible. Most importantly, they proved their methods worked. By the end of the day, 12 humans had passed agility tests. 8 had reached minimum strength standards. 6 had completed the full mental endurance challenge. These results are unprecedented for any species at this stage of training, Captain Veltar said to Kreloth. Perhaps we should examine their methods more closely. Their methods are not Vorthak methods, Kreloth protested. We have trained 17 species using our proven techniques. These humans are breaking from established protocols and achieving better results than any of those 17 species, the captain pointed out. That evening, the night training session had unexpected visitors. Captain Veltar arrived with several other Vorthak officers, all carrying recording devices. We wish to observe your training methods, the captain announced. The humans exchanged nervous glances. Their secret sessions were secret no longer. Don't change anything, Hyun-woo whispered to the group. Show them exactly what we do. What the aliens saw that night challenged everything they thought they knew about training. They watched humans work together in ways Vorthak never did. When Yunji struggled with a strength exercise, Taesung and Wan Shik immediately moved to spot her, offering technique advice and encouragement. When Sung Min felt overwhelmed during mental training, Hye-young guided him through breathing exercises, while others created a calm environment. Vorthak train individually, one of the observing officers noted. Each warrior proves their own strength. Humans train as units, Captain Veltar observed. They make each individual stronger through group effort. The aliens watched Min-ho teach his timing technique to newcomers, with Subin adding psychological insights and Jimin demonstrating the physical movements. They saw how human knowledge built on itself, each person's discoveries improving everyone else's performance. This is highly irregular, Kreloth muttered. Individual achievement should come from individual effort, but the results spoke for themselves. Under the alien observation, more humans passed tests in a single evening than had passed in the previous month of official training. Your species approaches challenges differently than any we have encountered, Captain Veltar said to Hyun-woo. When faced with a problem, you do not simply try harder. You try differently. That's what humans do, Hyun-woo said. We adapt. We innovate. We help each other find new ways. Ariam, who worked as a therapist and had joined the night training sessions to help people deal with stress, spoke up. In human society, we believe that helping others succeed helps everyone succeed. When my neighbor is strong, my community is strong. Vorthak believed that only the strongest should lead, one of the officers said. The weak must follow or be left behind. But what if you could make everyone stronger? Yunji asked. What if the person you think is weak just needs a different approach to find their strength? To demonstrate, the humans asked Kyung-soo to try the strength test. He was an older man who had been failing every physical test for months. But using the team's combined knowledge, Min-ho's timing technique, Yunji's anatomical insights, and Wan Shik's mechanical understanding, he achieved a score of 487, still below the minimum, but higher than many professional athletes had scored in their first attempts. He did not become stronger, Captain Veltar observed. He became more efficient. Same result, Hyun-woo said. Better performance. The captain was quiet for a long time, watching the humans continue their training. Finally, he spoke to his officers. Prepare a full report on human training methods. I want detailed analysis of their team support systems, their adaptation, techniques, and their innovation processes. "Sir," Kreloth said, "these methods go against established Vorthak training doctrine." "Perhaps," Captain Veltar said. "Or perhaps Vorthak training doctrine is about to evolve." After the aliens left, the humans continued their session with new energy. They had been discovered, but instead of punishment, they had gained official attention. "Do you think they'll make us stop?" So Young asked. "I don't think so," HFY said. "That captain is thinking like a military strategist. He sees results, and results matter more than methods." Dong-Hyun agreed. "In martial arts, we say that the best technique is the one that works. It doesn't matter if it's traditional or new, as long as it achieves the goal. The goal is to pass. They're tests," Minho said, "and we're starting to do that." "More than that," Hyunwoo said, looking around at the group. "We're starting to show them that humans might have something to teach them, too." The night training sessions continued, but now they were no longer secret. More humans joined every day, learning the techniques that actually worked for human bodies and human minds. And in the Vorthak command ship floating above Seoul, Captain Veltar was writing a report that would change the course of the entire training program. The humans had done something unprecedented. They had taken an alien challenge and found a human solution, and that solution was working better than anyone had expected. The question now was what the Vorthak Empire would do with this discovery. The morning after the official observation, Kreloth arrived at the gym with a dozen Vorthak security officers. His expression was darker than usual, and the air around him seemed to crackle with anger. "Unauthorized training methods will cease immediately," he announced to the assembled humans. "You have violated the integrity of the testing process." "How?" Hyunwoo asked, stepping forward. "We followed all your rules. We came to training every day. We took every test. We never used forbidden equipment or substances." "You collaborated," Kreloth said, as if the word tasted bad in his mouth. "Tests are designed to measure individual capability. By helping each other, you have compromised the results." "But the results are better," Yujin pointed out. "More of us are passing now." "False results," Kreloth snapped. "Results achieved through deception." The security officers moved closer, their hands resting on weapons that hummed with energy. The humans instinctively moved together, forming a protective group. But before the situation could escalate further, the gym's communication system activated. Captain Veltar's voice filled the room, but he was not speaking to the humans. "Trainer Kreloth, report to the command ship immediately. Bring your security detail." Kreloth's jaw tightened, but he could not disobey a direct order. "This matter is not finished," he told the humans before leading his officers out of the gym. The humans waited in tense silence until the aliens were gone. "What do you think that was about?" So Young whispered. "Maybe Captain Veltar doesn't agree with Kreloth," Minho suggested. "Or maybe we're in more trouble than we thought," HFY said grimly. They did not have to wait long to find out. 2 hours later, Captain Veltar arrived at the gym alone. He carried no weapons and brought no security officers. Instead, he brought something none of them expected: another alien. This new alien was different from the Vorthak. Taller, thinner, with silver skin and 4 arms. Most surprising of all, it wore the same type of uniform as Captain Veltar, indicating high rank. "Humans of Seoul Training Facility," Captain Veltar announced, "I present Admiral Jextar of the Vorthak High Command." The humans had never seen an alien of such obvious importance. Admiral Jextar moved with authority that made even Captain Veltar seem small by comparison. "I have reviewed Captain Veltar's reports on your training methods," the Admiral said, his voice carrying a different accent than the other Vorthak. "Your innovations are interesting." "Are we in trouble?" Yunji asked directly. Admiral Jextar's expression might have been amusement. "That depends on your next performance. I am here to offer you a choice." The Admiral gestured, and the gym's walls lit up with displays showing training facilities around the world. Currently, only 23% of humans globally are meeting minimum standards. This is the lowest success rate we have ever recorded for any species. The displays showed failure rates by region. Every continent was struggling. Even locations with professional athletes and military personnel were barely reaching 30% success rates. However, Admiral Jextar continued, this facility shows a 67% success rate, the highest of any training center on your planet. The humans looked at each other with surprise. They knew they were improving, but they had not realized how much better they were doing compared to other locations. Which brings us to the choice, the Admiral said. You can continue with standard training methods and hope to achieve minimal success. Or you can prove that your methods are truly superior. What kind of proof? Hyunwoo asked. Admiral Jextar smiled, an expression that looked dangerous on his alien features. The Crucible of Worthiness. It is our most challenging test, designed for elite Vorthak warriors. No alien species has ever achieved a 100% success rate. The displays changed to show a massive facility that looked more like a fortress than a training center. Dark corridors, dangerous obstacles, and challenges that seemed designed to break both body and mind. The Crucible is a 72-hour continuous test, the Admiral explained. It combines every skill we value: physical strength, mental endurance, tactical thinking, and individual determination. Most Vorthak warriors attempt it multiple times before succeeding. Many never succeed at all. And you want us to try this? Tae-sung asked, his voice showing both fear and interest. I want you to prove your methods work under ultimate pressure, Admiral Jextar said. If your collaborative training techniques can help humans succeed where individual excellence has failed, then perhaps we have something to learn from your species. What happens if we succeed? Subin asked. If you achieve a success rate higher than any previous species, humans will be granted instructor status within the Vorthak Empire. You will teach our methods to other species, and your world will become a training center rather than a subject planet. And if we fail? Jaehwa asked, though her military experience probably already told her the answer. If you fail, Admiral, Jextar said quietly, then human methods will be declared inadequate, and your species will proceed to standard service assignments. The weight of those words settled over the group. This was not just about their own freedom anymore. This was about the future of all humanity. How many of us can attempt this crucible? Hyunwoo asked. You may select your best candidates, the Admiral said. I recommend no more than 12. The crucible is not designed for large groups. The humans spent the rest of the day in intense discussion. Who should go? What were their best chances? Could their teamwork methods really work in a test designed for individual warriors? That evening, they held the most important night training session ever. But instead of practicing alien tests, they talked about the impossible choice they faced. We have to try, Yujin said. If we don't, we'll always wonder if we could have made things better for everyone. But what if we make things worse? Wonshik asked. What if we fail and prove that human methods don't work? Then we fail trying our best, Dong-hyun said. That's better than succeeding at being mediocre. Yoonji raised a practical concern. Do we even know if our teamwork methods will be allowed in this crucible? It sounds like it's designed to test individuals. We'll have to ask, Hyunwoo said. If they want to test our methods, they have to let us use our methods. The discussion continued late into the night. By morning, they had made their decision. 12. Volunteers would attempt the crucible. Hyunwoo, Yujin, Tae-sung, Jimin, Minho, Subin, Jaehwa, Yoonji, Dong-hyun, Wonshik, Sungmin, and Hye-young. Each brought different skills and strengths to the group. When Admiral Jextar returned the next day, Hyunwoo spoke for all of them. We'll attempt your crucible, but we do it as a team, using human methods. If you want to test whether our way Works. You have to let us do it our way. The Admiral's four arms moved in what might have been approval. Acceptable. The Crucible begins in 3 days. Use that time to prepare however you see fit. 3 days to prepare for a test that elite alien warriors train years for, Minho said after the Admiral left. 3 days to show the galaxy what humans can do when we work together, Hyunwoo corrected. The next 3 days were unlike anything they had experienced. The entire night training group worked together to prepare the 12 volunteers. They studied every piece of information they could find about the Crucible. They practiced their teamwork techniques until they could coordinate without speaking. They planned strategies for challenges they could only guess at. Most importantly, they reminded themselves why they were doing this, not just for their own freedom, but for every human on Earth, for the children who deserved to grow up free, for the elderly who had lived their whole lives without bowing to alien masters, for everyone who believed that humans were capable of extraordinary things. When they worked together, on the morning of departure, the entire gym gathered to see off the 12 volunteers. People who had joined the night training sessions, people who had struggled with the official tests, people who had found hope in the human methods. Remember, Kyung-soo told them, you're not just representing this gym or this city. You're representing the idea that humans can find their own way to succeed. Bring everyone home, Ariam added. That's the most human thing of all. As the alien transport carried them toward the Crucible facility, the 12 volunteers looked out at Earth, falling away below them. They were leaving behind everything familiar to face a challenge designed to break the strongest alien warriors. But they were not facing it alone. They were facing it as humans, with all the creativity, teamwork, and stubborn determination that made their species unique. The Crucible of Worthiness was about to learn what happened when human methods met impossible challenges. The Crucible facility was even more intimidating than the displays had shown. Built from the same dark metal as the ships, it rose from an asteroid like a mountain of nightmares. The entrance was a massive door covered in glowing symbols that hurt to look at directly. "Welcome to the Crucible of Worthiness," Admiral Jextar announced as their transport docked. "Few enter, fewer emerge unchanged." The 12 humans stood together in the docking bay, their simple Earth clothes looking fragile next to the alien architecture. Around them, Vorthak technicians operated equipment that monitored everything from heart rates to brain activity. The Crucible consists of 7 stages, the Admiral explained. Physical trials, mental challenges, tactical problems, and tests of will. You have 72 hours to complete all stages. Most participants fail at stage 3 or 4. "What's the record?" Jaehwa asked, her military training making her assess the tactical situation. "Admiral Korthvar completed all 7 stages in 71 hours and 23 minutes, Admiral Jextar said. "He was the greatest Vorthak warrior of his generation. His record has stood for 2 centuries. The humans exchanged glances. They had to not just complete the Crucible, but do it well enough to prove their methods were superior. "Are we competing against each other or working together?" Hyunwoo asked. "That is your choice," the Admiral said. "The Crucible can be attempted individually or as a group. Most species attempt it individually, as warriors prove their own worth." "We go together," Yoonji said immediately. "That's the human way." The other 11 nodded agreement. Whatever they faced, they would face it as a team. The first stage was called the Chamber of Strength. It looked like a massive weight room, but the equipment moved and changed constantly. Walls shifted, gravity fluctuated, and obstacles appeared without warning. Individual challengers must complete 12 different strength trials, Admiral Jextar explained. Group challengers must complete all trials, but may divide them among team members. The humans quickly organized. Tae-sung took the heaviest, lifting challenges using Minho's timing techniques to maximize efficiency. Yoo-jin handled the agility-based strength tests, her rock climbing experience helping her navigate moving obstacles. Jimin used her gymnastics training for tests requiring flexibility and balance. But the key difference was support. When Tai-sung struggled with a weight that was almost beyond his limits, Wonshik spotted him while Hee-young coached his breathing. When Yoo-jin faced a climbing challenge that pushed her endurance, the others called out handholds and route suggestions. Most importantly, they rotated leadership based on expertise. When the challenge required engineering knowledge, Wonshik took charge. When it needed medical understanding, Yoonji led the team. When tactical thinking was required, Jae-hwa made the decisions. They completed the first stage in 4 hours and 17 minutes, fast enough to stay ahead of the time limit, but not so fast that they exhausted themselves. The second stage was the Maze of Minds, a vast complex of corridors that changed based on the challenger's thoughts and fears. Mental traps waited around every corner, designed to break concentration and will. Individual challengers must navigate alone, Admiral Jextar explained. Group challengers may stay together, but each person's mental state affects the maze for everyone. This is where human teamwork truly showed its power. When Sung-min began to panic in a corridor that reflected his childhood fears, Soo-bin immediately began guiding him through breathing exercises, while Ha-young distracted him with teaching techniques. When the maze tried to separate them using illusions, Dong-hyun's martial arts training helped him stay centered and guide others back to reality. They discovered that the maze responded to individual fears, but human support could overcome those fears. When Min-ho faced a section designed to trigger claustrophobia, Yoonji helped him by explaining the medical basis of his fear reaction, making it less powerful. When Jimin encountered illusions based on performance anxiety, her teammates reminded her of all the times she had succeeded under pressure. The humans completed the second stage in 6 hours and 52 minutes, still well ahead of schedule. The third stage was where most challengers failed, the Desert of Endurance, a vast environment of extreme heat, shifting terrain, and limited resources. Challengers had to cross 50 kilometers while carrying heavy packs and solving puzzles along the way. "This is where we use our greatest advantage," Hyun-woo told the team as they prepared to enter. "Humans are built for endurance. We're marathon runners, not sprinters." They established a rotation system immediately. The strongest members took point positions, breaking trail and carrying extra weight. The most observant members watched for dangers and opportunities. The smartest members worked on puzzles while others maintained the pace. Most importantly, they maintained constant communication and support. When someone struggled, others immediately redistributed weight and responsibilities. When someone solved a puzzle, they explained the solution to everyone else, in case similar problems appeared later. "Look at them," one Vorthak observer said to another as they monitored the humans' progress. "They move like a single organism with 12 parts." "It is highly unusual," the other replied. Individual excellence should not require group support. But the results spoke for themselves. The humans were not just surviving the Desert of Endurance, they were thriving in it. Their systematic approach and mutual support let them maintain a steady pace while solving every puzzle they encountered. They completed the third stage in 11 hours and 8 minutes, actually ahead of Admiral Korthvar's record pace. The fourth stage was the Caverns of Fear, where challengers faced their deepest personal terrors made manifest. Most warriors faced this challenge alone, confronting their fears through individual courage. The humans faced it together. When Tai-sung confronted manifestations of his fear of failure, his teammates surrounded him and reminded him of every success he had achieved. When Soo-bin faced illusions designed to make her feel inadequate, the others listed all the ways she had helped them improve. The caverns tried to isolate them, creating separate spaces where each person faced their fears alone. But the humans had prepared for this. They used rope to stay physically connected, called out constantly to maintain contact, and refused to let the environment separate them. "Your fears cannot define you when your friends remind you who you really are," Ha-young said, as she helped Dong-hyun overcome illusions based on his fear of letting others down. They completed the fourth stage in 8 hours and 31 minutes. The fifth stage was the laboratory of logic, filled with complex puzzles that required both intelligence and creativity to solve. Individual challengers had to solve them alone, using only their own knowledge and reasoning. The humans turned it into a collaborative workshop. Minho's technical knowledge combined with Wonshik's engineering experience and Yoonji's medical training to solve biological and mechanical puzzles. Subin's psychology background helped with puzzles involving behavior patterns, while Jaehua's military experience provided tactical solutions. Most importantly, they taught each other as they went. When someone understood a puzzle type, they immediately explained their reasoning to the others. By the middle of the stage, all 12 humans could solve puzzle types that had initially stumped most of them. They completed the fifth stage in 7 hours and 19 minutes, far ahead of any previous record. Admiral Jextar watched the monitoring displays with growing amazement. "They are not just succeeding," he said to his staff. "They are redefining success." The sixth stage was the arena of combat, where challengers faced automated opponents designed to test fighting skills. Individual challengers fought alone against increasingly difficult opponents. The humans fought as a coordinated unit. Dong Yun's martial arts experience provided the foundation, but everyone contributed. Yujin's agility helped with reconnaissance and distraction. Tai Sung's strength provided heavy assault capabilities. Jaehua's tactical knowledge coordinated their movements. They discovered that the arena's automated opponents were designed to fight individuals, not coordinated teams. Opponents that could easily defeat any single human were confused and overwhelmed. By 12 humans working together with perfect coordination, they completed the sixth stage in 4 hours and 44 minutes. The seventh and final stage was the Chamber of Will, where challengers faced the ultimate test of determination. They had to maintain perfect focus and effort while subjected to intense physical and mental pressure that increased continuously until they either succeeded or collapsed. Individual challengers faced this test alone, relying on personal willpower to endure the increasing torment. The humans shared the burden. They took turns at the focus points while others provided physical and emotional support. When one person's will began to falter, others immediately stepped in to share the load. They rotated responsibilities so no one person had to endure the full pressure for the entire duration. Most importantly, they reminded each other why they were there, not for personal glory, but for all humanity, for their families, their friends, their world, for the idea that humans could find their own path to excellence. When the final challenge reached its peak intensity, all 12 humans stood together, hands linked, sharing the burden equally. The Chamber of. The news of the humans' crucible victory spread through the Vorthak Empire faster than light-speed communications. For the first time in the Empire's history, a species had achieved perfect completion of their ultimate test. More shocking still, they had done it using methods that contradicted everything the Vorthak believed about strength and achievement. Admiral Jextar called an emergency council meeting aboard the flagship orbiting Earth. The 12 humans who had completed the crucible were brought to observe, still wearing their simple training clothes, among the elaborate alien military uniforms. "The implications of this achievement cannot be ignored," Admiral Jextar announced to the assembled Vorthak commanders. "These humans have demonstrated capabilities we did not know existed." Captain Veltar stepped forward. "With respect, Admiral, they succeeded through cooperation, not individual strength. This does not align with Vorthak values." "Does it not?" Admiral Jextar asked. "What is our primary military concern at this moment?" The answer came from Fleet Commander Kextal, a veteran officer with scars across his gray skin. "The Seraphim Collective continues to defeat our forces despite our superior individual strength. They coordinate perfectly because they share a hive mind. Our warriors trained for individual excellence cannot match their tactical coordination." "Exactly," Admiral Jextar said. "We have been losing battles against an enemy that thinks and acts as one. Meanwhile, these humans have shown us how separate individuals can achieve the same level of coordination through voluntary cooperation. Hyunwoo raised his hand hesitantly. May I speak? The alien commanders turned to look at him with surprise. In Vorthak culture, conquered species did not address military councils without permission. Speak, Admiral Jextar said. We've been watching your training methods, Hyunwoo said. You focus on making each warrior as strong as possible individually. But in our experience, 5 people working together can often accomplish more than 5 people working separately, even if each individual is weaker. Impossible, Captain Veltar said. 5 weak individuals cannot equal 1 strong one, can they? Jaehua asked, her military experience making her bold. In human warfare, we learned long ago that coordinated units defeat superior individual fighters. A disciplined squad can defeat a stronger enemy who fights alone. Fleet Commander. Kextal leaned forward with interest. Explain. Information sharing, Jaehua said. When soldiers work as a team, each person sees different things, knows different information. Combined, they understand the battlefield better than any individual could. Redundancy, Wanshik added. When one person fails or gets injured, others can take over their responsibilities. The unit continues functioning even when individuals cannot. Specialized roles, Yunji continued. Instead of everyone trying to be good at everything, each person can focus on what they do best while relying on teammates for other skills. Admiral Jextar listened carefully to each point. Show us, he said finally. If human methods can create better warriors, demonstrate it. What followed was the most unusual training program in galactic history. The humans were given access to Vorthak volunteers, warriors who had been struggling against the Seraphim Collective's coordinated attacks. These were elite soldiers, stronger and faster than any human, but trained only for individual combat. Kyung-soo, who had been a coach before the aliens arrived, took charge of the first training session. Today, we're going to learn something that might feel strange to you, he told the group of Vorthak warriors. We're going to learn to trust each other completely. The alien warriors looked confused. Trust was not a concept emphasized in their training. In human teams, Kyung-soo explained, each person has to know that their teammates will support them. You cannot fight effectively as a group if you're worried about what the person next to you is doing. The training began with simple exercises. Vorthak warriors learning to communicate during combat instead of fighting in silence, learning to share information instead of hoarding tactical knowledge, learning to cover each other's weaknesses instead of only displaying their own strengths. It was harder than any physical training they had ever done. This feels wrong, one Vorthak warrior said during a break. A warrior should prove their individual worth. Why? Ariam asked. She had been brought in to help with the psychological aspects of team building. What is the goal of a warrior? To achieve victory in combat, the warrior replied immediately. Then shouldn't you use whatever methods achieve victory most effectively? Ariam asked. If working as a team wins more battles than fighting alone, isn't team fighting the superior warrior skill? The Vorthak warrior was silent for a long moment. The logic was undeniable, but it challenged everything he had been taught. Meanwhile, other humans were working with different aspects of Vorthak military culture. Minho collaborated with Vorthak, engineers to improve their equipment designs. He discovered that their weapons and vehicles were optimized for individual use, making coordination between units difficult. Look at this communication system, he showed the engineers. It's designed for each warrior to receive orders from above and report status upward. But what if warriors could communicate directly with each other? What if they could share real-time information about what they're seeing and doing? The modifications seemed simple to humans who had been using networked communications for decades. But to Vorthak, who valued individual achievement over group coordination, the concept was revolutionary. Subin worked with Vorthak commanders on tactical doctrine. "You plan battles assuming each unit will fight independently," she observed. "But what if units could support each other dynamically, changing roles based on battlefield conditions?" "That would require constant communication and coordination," one commander said. "Too complex to manage." "Not if the units themselves make the coordination decisions," Subin replied. "Instead of waiting for orders from above, what if each unit leader could make tactical adjustments and inform the others immediately?" The humans demonstrated their concepts using Vorthak volunteers in simulated battles. The results were dramatic. Units that had been struggling against Seraphim collective tactics began winning consistently when they applied human teamwork principles. But the biggest breakthrough came when Dong-hyun worked with a group of Vorthak warriors on martial arts techniques. "Your individual fighting style is excellent," he told them. "But what happens when you fight as a group?" The warriors demonstrated their group combat, essentially individual fighters happening to fight the same enemy at the same time, with little coordination between them. "Now watch this," Dong-hyun said, bringing in Yoo-jin, Tae-sung, and Ji-min. The four humans faced off against a simulated combat scenario. The humans moved like parts of a single organism. Yoo-jin created openings that Tae-sung exploited. Ji-min provided distraction that let Dong-hyun position for decisive strikes. They communicated with glances and gestures, each person anticipating what the others needed. "How do you coordinate so precisely?" one Vorthak warrior asked. "Practice," Dong-hyun said, "but also trust. I know that Yoo-jin will create the opening I need, because we've trained together. She knows that I'll be ready to use that opening because she trusts my preparation. And if one of you fails, then the others adapt," Ji-min said. "If I can't provide the distraction, Yoo-jin changes her approach. If Dong-hyun can't make his strike, Tae-sung moves to a different position. We're not following a fixed plan. We're responding to what actually happens." The Vorthak warriors tried to replicate the human coordination. It was clumsy at first, centuries of individual training making cooperation feel unnatural. But gradually, they began to understand. "It is like becoming a larger warrior," one observed. "Instead of 4 separate fighters, we become one fighter with 4 bodies." "Exactly," Hyun-woo said. "And that larger warrior is stronger than any individual could be." The training program expanded rapidly. More Vorthak volunteered to learn human methods. Human trainers were assigned to military units throughout the empire. The techniques that had helped humans pass impossible tests were now being used to create better alien soldiers. But the real test came when Vorthak units trained in human methods faced the Seraphim Collective in actual combat. The reports came, back within weeks. Units using human coordination techniques were achieving victory rates of over 80% against enemies that had been defeating traditionally trained Vorthak forces. The improvement was so dramatic that Admiral Jekstar ordered human training methods to be implemented fleet-wide. "These results are unprecedented," he announced to the High Command. "Human tactical integration will become standard doctrine for all Vorthak military forces." Captain Veltar, who had initially opposed human methods, now spoke in their defense. "The humans have taught us that individual strength and group strength are not opposites," he said. "They are complements. The strongest individual becomes even stronger when supported by a strong team." The role reversal was complete. Humans who had started as conquered subjects, forced to prove their worth, were now the teachers of their former conquerors. The gyms and training centers of Earth became academies where alien species came to learn advanced techniques. 1 year later, Hyun-woo stood in what had once been his small fitness gym in Seoul. Now it was the central hub of the Galactic Training Institute, with alien species arriving daily from across the Empire to learn human methods. The morning's first class included Vorthak warriors, crystalline beings from the Nexus system, gaseous entities from the Void Nebula, and reptilian strategists from the Scale worlds. All of them wore the same expression of respectful attention that human students had once shown their alien instructors. "Today we're going to work on trust-building exercises," Hyun-woo announced to the mixed group. "Remember, strength comes not from individual power, but from the confidence that your teammates will support you when you need them most." Through the enlarged windows, he could see the city that had grown around the institute. What had once been a neighborhood gym was now the center of a complex that housed training facilities, research centers, and diplomatic quarters for dozens of species. Jimin led a coordination class in the anti-gravity chamber, teaching Vorthak pilots and crystalline navigators how to work together in three-dimensional combat scenarios. Her gymnastics background, once barely adequate for alien strength tests, now made her one of the most sought-after instructors in the galaxy. "The key is to think of your unit as a single organism," she explained to her students. "Each ship is like a limb. It has its own function, but it moves in harmony with the whole body." In the Tactical Planning Center, Jae-hwa worked with a group of high-ranking military officers from 6 different species. The mixed species command teams she had helped create were achieving victory rates that amazed even the most experienced generals. "Human military doctrine emphasizes adaptability," she explained, pointing to battle displays showing recent engagements with the Seraphim Collective. "When your original plan encounters unexpected resistance, successful commanders don't force the plan to work. They adapt the plan to match reality." The results of human training methods had exceeded everyone's expectations. The Seraphim Collective, which had seemed unstoppable with their hive-mind coordination, found themselves facing Vorthak forces that could match their unity while maintaining individual creativity and adaptability. Battle reports showed consistent victories for Empire forces trained in human techniques, but the impact went far beyond military success. Won Shik now headed the Collaborative Engineering Department, where species with different technological approaches worked together to create innovations none could have achieved alone. Vorthak's strength-based engineering combined with crystalline precision and human adaptability produced weapons, ships, and tools that revolutionized Empire technology. "Look at this propulsion system," he showed his mixed species team. "Vorthak power cores, crystalline navigation matrices, and human redundancy protocols. Each component uses the best of what each species offers." Yoonji ran the medical integration program, teaching alien doctors to work in teams that combined different species' medical knowledge. Vorthak understanding of physical trauma, crystalline knowledge of energy-based healing, and human psychological support created medical teams that saved lives none of the individual species could have saved alone. "Healing is not just about fixing the body," she explained to her students. "Different species heal in different ways, but all species heal better when they know others care about their recovery." The transformation was visible throughout the Empire. Space stations that had once been sterile military facilities now included recreational areas where different species socialized and learned from each other. Warships carried mixed crews that combined each species' strengths. Even the rigid command structure of the Vorthak military had evolved to include horizontal communication and collaborative decision-making. Admiral Jextar arrived at the Institute for his weekly briefing on the training programs. He had changed over the year, his bearing less authoritarian and more collaborative. Working with humans had taught him that asking for input often produced better results than simply giving orders. "Status. Report on the newest training programs?" he asked Hyun-woo. "Excellent progress," Hyun-woo replied.